Ever heard of the Super Bowl? I can't hear what you said. That's not how this works. Bad Bunny did the Super Bowl halftime show this year to relatively polarizing reviews, so I thought I would come in and settle it for you guys out of the kindness of my heart. Today I've ranked every Super Bowl halftime show in the 21st century from worst to best. That's about it. Let's get started. In 27th, I've got Bruno Mars' 2014. Not the first show in Super Bowl history to feature a pedophile, but the show itself was pretty solid, I think, other than that. Bruno Mars delivers a pretty good setlist and performance. Were the Chili Peppers not here, perhaps I could give it some praise. But my overwhelming hatred for Anthony Kiedis has forced my hand here. Now I know what you're thinking. This was 2014. Was Anthony Kiedis already publicly known as a pedophile? And I would respond with, yeah, man, he was. The book dropped in 97. Everything after that is no longer fair game. At number 26, it's the Rolling Stones' 2006 show. This was pretty much just a concert, to be honest. Very little, interesting shit going on here. The Rolling Stones, kind of 20 years out of their prime as well. There's not a lot of cool production here. I don't really have much to say, to be honest. As good of a set list as I'm sure they could really craft up, but this just has very little heart in it, I think. Number 25, Millennium Fest 2000. This is pretty weak, to be honest. I feel like the Super Bowl halftime show has got to carry a little hype behind it. And to be frank, this one just didn't carry that hype. It's a pretty solid actual, musical performance. I won't say it sucked ass, but I don't think it's what I want to see after my team goes down 28 points in the second quarter. Song selection wasn't all that stellar either. If we're getting Phil Collins, surely he plays In the Air tonight. To my dismay, he didn't play that shit. The spectacle was pretty cool. I imagine cooler for its time, but in the big 2026, I think we've seen far more impressive shit done. Number 24, the Black Eyed Peas 2011. These guys kind of suck, I think. They've got some fun songs. I'm no hater of fun, but their live performance here was very underwhelming. The crew behind them danced as hard as they possibly could have. This is kind of when the halftime show started getting a little silly. Started valuing theatrics over kind of the music itself, and it's when I started to lose a lot of my interest. Slash showed up, that was kind of cool. I liked his entrance, played some iconic shit, but I do wish they would have just brought Axl Rose out too, maybe given the headline to Guns N' Roses, but hindsight is 2020. Usher shows up, cool beans. Pretty weak from the Black Eyed Peas here, but I'd say the visual production holds up fairly well. Number 23, Shania Twain, 2003. I don't really know who this is, I'm afraid. That's never a good start. I feel if you're headlining the Super Bowl, your name shouldn't be forgotten by a fan of music in 20 years. There was certainly some typical Target core music played here, though. There were also balloons. The supporting artist here was no doubt another artist I couldn't name a song from off the dome, but they played another relative classic. And then the GOAT Sting shows up. That's great news for this show's ranking, but he must have been 50-something here. He still gets it done. He still delivers, I'd say. Plays a classic and leaves, and then some fireworks. I really don't think I'll remember this one by tomorrow. A couple one-hit wonder artists and Sting as the tertiary headliner didn't do too much for me. Pretty forgettable. That's why it's here. Number 22, Maroon 5, 2019. Pretty sick set list. That's kind of the end of my praise, I think. The performance itself wasn't all that impressive. I do appreciate that Adam Levine didn't lip sync, but it just wasn't all that well done from these guys. Visually as well, one of the more lackluster shows of its time. Keep the shirt on, Adam, by the way. I don't want to see that shit. SpongeBob shows up as well. That's got to be something. Travis Scott shows up. Kind of sounds like shit and then leaves. He gets a cool little visual entrance, I think. A meteor crashes down and then he starts singing without auto-tune. Pretty poorly, I'd say. SpongeBob saves this from the bottom of the barrel, but this was pretty much the best I could do. Number 21, Aerosync 2001. It's a pretty cool idea, I think. I like the concept quite a bit. It's interesting to combine one mediocre artist with another, but I think they've fused into something far closer to Gokul than Vegito. Does that make sense? NSYNC far outshined what they really ever deserve, but I'm afraid they've outdone Aerosmith here. I was kind of hoping for a bit more collaboration as well. But Walk This Way was performed with NSYNC. That was kind of cool. I can't lie, I wish they did that for the whole show. Everything else Aerosmith did, I wasn't all that impressed. But again, NSYNC put in some actually solid work. Britney Spears shows up as well. That's always fun, though not after the book. The spectacle was also pretty nothing burger here as well. It's not much cool going on. Step down from the year before, for sure. Still a better show. The music was cooler. Number 20, Shakira and Jennifer Lopez, 2020. I have almost nothing to say, to be honest. It seems a lot of the focus went into the visuals here. Those were pretty sick. And the music is Shakira and J-Lo. Not quite the cream of the crop of musicians, I wouldn't say, but up there for sure. Bad Bunny and J Balvin feature here as well. That was kind of cool. Kind of a precursor to the Bad Bunny show from this year. The energy here is pretty good, but overall it's not all that memorable. I don't have much else to say. Number 19, The Weeknd 2021. It's tough to rank this one without giving it an asterisk because it's the year of COVID. It's got to be kept in mind, I think. The spectacle here was pretty goddamn nuts, to be honest. Really unique production here. And The Weeknd is just kind of sick. He's a really talented guy. That's fully on display. Very solid performance all around, I'd say. The orchestra was pretty cool. A lot of cool shit here, to be honest. Pretty solid set list as well, but I think it's just kind of lacking that it factor a lot of these other shows have, or at least the ones at the top. Maybe a couple other artists featuring could have got him across the line, but regardless of how solid it genuinely is, again, it's just not that memorable. Somewhere in the middle of the pack, I think. Number 18, Usher, 2024. A little late for Usher to headline, I feel like. This would have made sense 20 years ago, but I don't know if he's got pull like that anymore. He went out there and played some classics, some bangers. Pretty mixed bag of features here, I'd say. You've got Alicia Keys, that's pretty cool. But you've also got will.i.am. That's not that cool. Very hit or miss show, top to bottom, to be honest. When it's good, it's good. When it's bad, it's pretty boring. The visuals are decent, but I'd probably like a little more theatrics, to be honest, a little something more grand. The dance sequences were clean. They were nice. It was a clean show, and it would have worked 20 years ago, would have worked wonders. But in the big 24, I expected a little more. Number 17, Rihanna, 2023. Pretty strange show, to be honest. Rihanna is blatantly pregnant here, so I imagine that probably limits the amount she can really do and kind of caps the visuals at a certain level. Seems like a strange selection for this year, but whatever. Music is what you're here for, and that shit's pretty good. A great set list, and Rihanna can still hit whatever the fuck she's got to hit, without question. Pretty good show if my eyes are closed, but the visuals here are some of the most lackluster period, to be honest. Number 16, Paul McCartney, 2005. Pretty cool show, I guess. Tough to really expect a lot of spectacle out of 60-year-old Paul McCartney, but musically it's fairly close to what you'd want. I'm just not sure Paul McCartney really brings the vibe I want at a Super Bowl. To deny a Beatle a Super Bowl halftime show would be inexplicably dumb, so I understand why this happened, and I think he did as good as he could have done, but it's just not really his bag. He played some iconic tracks. No real supporting cast is a weird decision, but regardless of my love for the Beatles, can't go that high. The Eagles also lost this Super Bowl. That knocks this down a little further. The fireworks were cool. That's all I got. Number 15, Bruce Springsteen, 2009. Very solid show, I'd say. Again, I wouldn't go further. Very middle of the road, I think. Carries a decent amount of energy. I thought the whole intro bit where he points directly at me was a little corny, but the setlist itself was fine enough. Just another relatively kind of old guy doing a show 20 years out of his prime. He did as good as you could really ask him to do at this point, and maybe even a little better. Production was very alright as well. Not great, not horrible, just kind of bland. The slide was pretty sick, though. That's cool. The guitar spin as well. Bruce is a lot of fun. Number 14, Tom Petty, 2008. First and foremost, rest in peace, GOAT. But second, and I suppose second most, there's not a lot of energy here. I was pretty old at this point. I think the show would have heavily benefited from a supporting cast of some sort. Just someone to inject a little energy into this show. Production is pretty sick. A lot of cool light shows and firework-esque shit. But I just don't really feel the energy I want to feel here. Some good songs played, some classic hits, some incredible songs. But I need a little something else to push it over the edge into legendary. But the setlist really couldn't have been much better. I just wish we could have seen a prime Tom Petty hit this show in like the 80s or something. That would have been cool. Still pretty good though. Number 13, Coldplay, 2016. Pretty cool show, I think. Coldplay has never been a favorite artist of mine, but they've got some undeniable bangers, certainly some iconic shit in their catalog, and they play pretty much every song you hope they would. An excellent supporting cast as well here. Bruno Mars, Beyonce, two massive names. It's a pretty cool moment in music. A clash of three humongous artists you really wouldn't see anywhere else, but the song selections from them I think could have been a bit better. Both Beyonce and Bruno Mars had their own halftime show, so they kind of covered a lot of the bases in those shows. Coldplay's kind of just left with the scraps here. The visual production itself, a little lackluster, especially at this point. I was certainly hoping for a little more in that regard, but musically this was very solid. Really cool ending sequence as well. A nice tribute to a lot of the previous halftime shows. They've got the Bruce slide in there. That's still fun. Number 12, Katy Perry, 2015. One with the shark, maybe you remember that, or maybe you're too young to know what I'm talking about. A lot of my thoughts on this show come down to why. Why is she standing on that giant lion thing? What is she wearing? But the production was fantastic. Really unique sets all around. There really wasn't anything like this show prior, to be honest. Just very well done. The setlist was also really solid. Very hype stuff. Exactly what you think of when you hear White Girl Core. I really liked the chessboard kind of scene. I thought that was a super original idea. It's a very well done show. Relatively boring supporting cast, I would say, though. Sorry, Lenny Kravitz fans, but he didn't even get his own song here. And the Missy Elliott appearance was solid, but not cream of the crop, I wouldn't say. There's been better features. Not one of the best, but far from the worst. Number 11, Janet Jackson, 2004. 2004 is when the spectacle really started to hit, I think. A pretty sick marching band opens up the show. Janet Jackson delivers a pretty sick performance. Some great song choices for sure. And then P. Diddy shows up. That didn't age that well. I'll gloss over that, I think. Pretty sick cast other than that, though. You got Nelly hitting you with a classic track. Justin Timberlake is back for the nth time. Kid Rock shows up. That was probably cool 20 years ago, but maybe a little bloated on the cast if you're looking back today. The visual production was pretty alright towards the end. After the marching band, it turned into a kind of generic show. Minus the weird guy hanging out of the sky, but I've tried to erase that from my mind. Number 10, Bad Bunny, 2026. Where to begin? I don't speak Spanish that well. I vaguely understand some things. That's as specific as I can really be. I think this show is a huge moment for the Hispanic community, and I have a lot of respect for that. And I really like the visuals here. Honestly, they're some of my favorites in any halftime show. I think it's a really unique idea, and I don't know if we'll ever see something like it ever again. Musically, I enjoyed what I heard, but it's tough for me to really criticize or praise it either way without kind of understanding, you know? I certainly had fun. I do think the features probably could have been a little better as well. Ricky Martin was a fantastic feature. Lady Gaga's appearance didn't make much sense to me. Maybe I'm missing something. But I do think another Hispanic artist would have made more sense as a feature. I think it was a pretty damn good show. Not an all-time great, but definitely on the higher end of the spectrum. Number 9, Madonna 2012. Super cool theme here. They had a whole Roman Empress thing going on. I thought that was pretty sick. It looked pretty sick. Very packed cast. CeeLo Green, terrible person. LMFAO, I was actually laughing my ass off at that point. Really cool visual production. Probably the height of it at the time of its release. By far the most creative visuals I've seen so far. I'm sure this was better at the time. The LMFAO feature hasn't aged the sharpest, I wouldn't say. Musically, it's all you really want to hear from Madonna, all her biggest hits. Were the supporting cast slightly better? This might have placed it a little bit higher. But this was still a damn good halftime show. Number 8, U2 2002. On the back of 9/11, to say America was in a strange point is perhaps the only way I could think of wording that sentence. A lot of expectations for sure. Was the show that great? Kinda, I think. U2 is a band that I think makes a lot of sense for a halftime show. They've got songs you can kind of sing along to. Some shit to really unify the country in one of its greatest times in need. The spectacle I can't say was all that great. Pretty standard concert vibe going on. Not a whole lot of theatrics, but the music itself holds up very well. Very tight set list. Pretty short one as well. There was a cool moment where they listed everyone who passed away from 9/11. I thought that was pretty sick. I can appreciate that. Very solid show, I think. Deserves this spot. Number 7, Justin Timberlake, 2018. The Eagles won this one. Important to keep in mind, my answer might be skewed. We'll see. I thought it was a cool idea to walk out of the tunnel, but the lack of any featured artists here was kind of disappointing. I like Justin Timberlake, but I don't know if he had the sauce required to solo a show like this in 2018. The setlist is one of the best so far, to be honest. I had no idea how deep Mr. Timberlake's bag really was until he showed me that shit himself. The show was banger after banger after banger. Visually, this was one of the most lackluster shows in a little while, I think. The music here was pretty good. I like JT, but as a halftime show, I can't say it was the most notable. Very cool tribute to Prince, though. That was very sick. The visuals, other than that, weren't the best, I wouldn't say. Number 6, The Who, 2010. This one was kind of fire, I think. Really cool light show production. Best I've seen so far, timeline-wise. These guys are still pretty old here, but man, this show is a breath of fresh air. Really well performed and a really tight set list. Even if you're not familiar with the band, it's songs everyone just kind of knows when you come out of the womb. They pull out the harmonica, too. That's always fun. One of the best for sure. Number 5, Kendrick Lamar, 2025. Pretty sick show right here. I'm a massive Kendrick fan, and I'm afraid the Eagles also won this Super Bowl. We're just that good. So this was pretty much the greatest day of my entire life. Honestly, the show could have been a touch better, I think. The setlist was good, but I wouldn't call it excellent. A couple songs off his newest record that probably snubbed some better songs he could have included. But overall, the show was a damn good time. Watching Kendrick call Drake a pedophile on national television was super sick. The visuals, while relatively low-key in comparison to a lot of the shows we've seen so far, was very cleanly done, I think. Simple but clean. The features were great. SZA did a fast job. Serena Williams showed up. That was pretty odd. But I'd call it a win in the feature department, I think, even just with SZA. Also, the Eagles won.
Now the Eagles get it back. We're going to run some clock, or maybe throw the dagger. Hurts going deep for it all. Devontae Smith! He has got it!
Number 4, Lady Gaga, 2017. Really cool start to this show. She just kind of fucking leaps off this platform. That was probably the sickest shit I've ever seen in my life. I also really like the star light show they had going in the back in the beginning. Visual production is very elite here. She's just kind of fucking around in the air for a lot of the show. It's super sick. Setlist is stocked full of bangers. It's a super iconic show, I think. One of the coolest I've seen. One of the GOATs. I had a lot of fun. Number 3, Dr. Dre, 2022. Why is he upside down? Pretty sick stuff right here. Everyone you know just shows up at some point to deliver one of the more iconic hip-hop sets in a minute, I'd say. A very action-packed show. Cast is probably the best in any Super Bowl lineup ever, I'd say. Though they're all out of their prime at this point. It's got a very nostalgic vibe going for it. The visuals are solid, I think. Pretty cool concept, but they probably could have been a touch better. Musically, this is about as fun as it can get, I think. Just an all-star lineup of cats all performing their biggest hits. Excellent show. Number 2, Beyonce, 2013. Another year of pretty stellar visuals. Everyone started figuring out the production around the 2010s, around this time. Very tight set list. All the bangers you hope to hear are present here. You can't ask for much more out of a halftime show than this, to be honest. Destiny's Child did a little reunion here, too. Just a very cool show. I'm sure far cooler for huge Beyonce fans, but even as a casual fan, this is fantastic. This is good stuff. This is quality. And number 1, it's Prince, 2007. This is the GOAT, I think. The Purple Rain performance in a vacuum is probably the single greatest Super Bowl performance ever. But even excluding that track, this show it's just incredible. It just feels very full, very well planned out. Really cool production, just a very fun show to watch. The light show was sick, the supporting band was sick, the guitar solo was legendary, and Prince is one of the greatest musicians to ever live. Can't really ask for anything more out of a halftime show. This is the greatest of all time, with ease, I'd say, in a league of its own. That's all I have written here. Dear viewer, thank you very much for watching. Please subscribe if you enjoyed. I hope to see you in the next one. Peace.